Happy National Signing Day, folks. Mike Singer and Tim Hyde live on the Blue and Gold YouTube channel. Very shortly, Captain Goolsby will be joining us. He's running a few minutes late, so we'll get Goolsby in here. Talking National Signing Day for Notre Dame. Irish came in today with 24 commitments. They signed all of them and then added a massive commitments and signature from one Madden frame. We'll talk about that in a second. Folks, please hit the thumbs up on this video, whether you're watching live, watching back. Subscribe to the Blue and Gold YouTube channel, of course. And if you're listening to this podcast, hopefully we made your Spotify Wrapped. And please leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to your podcast. Tim, we will go first to one Madden Faremo announcing his commitment to the Irish. Actually, he didn't announce it. Marcus Freeman did, Tim. That was epic. I remember Brian Kelly did that once.
That was hey, that's a great point. That was for JOK. Yes. So there you go. You get a future Butkus Award winner. Look at that. The stars are aligning. Way to kick this off.
Faremo. Sorry, my microphone was way over there. So yeah, Faremo. I mean, Freeman walks to the presser and he says, "It just got some good news." And I was like, "Oh my god, I know what he's doing." Because Tim, going into the morning, we had Faremo articles prepped, yes. Right? Like, all right, we had the graphic. It's like just in case. The expectation was USC, and then I got one text this morning, and it was like, "Oh shit, really? Is this about to happen?" I posted on the board. If you folks were on, blueandgold.com message board, take advantage of some sweet offers we've had lately. You saw my post on the board where I said, "Oh, based on what I just got, Notre Dame might pull this one off," and then they did. It sounds like right before noon or right around noon Eastern time. So, Tim, how pumped are you about this one?
I didn't know. I'll be honest with you. I was working today. I wasn't glued. I know it's we had set up a couple texts. The three of us just prepping for tonight, and it's like.
And then I told you, Rainbow just committed.
Yeah, Madden comes aboard, and it's just like, whoa. I mean, literally, because signing day nowadays is like there's no giant announcements like this. Not that this was giant one. Marcus
for Notre Dame.
Exactly. So there's so many. I mean, even nationally, it seems like 99% are done. You get giant flips, but
yeah,
this was big because you're right. The tea leaves have been SC. The wanting to stay home, all those things. The big push there. It is a massive push. People don't realize on some of these guys, it is huge when you're a USC guy. When you're in that realm, especially where he's from, Orange County, the Trinity League, that is a USC hub. So there's no doubt about that. And this is massive. This flipped the switch on the on the class. So definitely, right? I mean, it's been a little down. People trying to get excited. They've been trying to flip some guys, turn a few guys here and there, but he was the one true guy they weren't trying to flip. He was he's just been a recruit for 18 months, just going after him nonstop. I mean, it's a big get, especially on a signing day. On signing day, this is up there with some of the big ones of all time.
Yeah. Couple things. I think those big things still happen. It's just last year, Tim, they came in with 23 commitments. That's what they ended with, right? The year before, 2023, they lost 3 guys right on or around signing day. 2022, you lose C.J. Williams and Morion Walker. Like it's not been gaining the signing day guys. Like Billy Schrouth in the 2022 class was around signing day, but otherwise, you have to go back to 2021. It was signing day that year was the 16th through the 18th. Notre Dame landed 2 guys on the 18th. And Audric Estime flipped him from Michigan State, turned out okay. And Kari G. Most of you are saying, who is that? Flipped him from LSU. Is a safety who didn't work out.
Yep.
And you have to go that far back for an early signing period, on one of those 3 early, that 48-hour signing window or 72-hour signing window that Notre Dame has landed a guy. You got to go back years So it's not some order you this was really cool. This was really cool. So Tim, frame
by the
on
way,
film.
Yeah, I was going to say this. I mean, this is against Lincoln High School, the state champion last year.
San Diego, right? Lincoln.
Powerhouse. They're running backs at Georgia right now. It's a powerhouse city school down in San Diego, and Madden literally was the MVP of this game. It was wrecking
What
ball.
year is this? Is this junior?
This should be this year. I know they played Lincoln this year. Whatever highlight that was, the opening that was definitely San Diego Lincoln. He wrecked that game all by himself. So, I mean, he's a terror. He's the best defensive player without a doubt this year in the Trinity League. The last couple MVPs of the Trinity League are Mason Graham out of Servite, who's tearing it up for Michigan, will be a top 10 pick. KVA this year, and Madden definitely this year. So those are the recent top defenders out of the Trinity League. No, I mean he's a stud. He's a hell of an athlete. Edge, Mike, he could play multiple positions. Definitely thinned out a little bit between his junior year and senior year, and a lot more quicker. You could see on a lot of the senior film that I've watched. I watched a lot of his film this year, so they've been posting a lot of stuff. Jay Sarah had a hell of a year in the Trinity League, getting to the Division I playoffs, which is a grinder out there in that region. So I mean, no, this is a big win. And it goes back to linebackers. The guys, Freeman and them. I mean, it all started with Junior Tuli Alamaka, another SoCal Catholic kid out of Alamany, and then obviously Josh Burnham and Jalen Sneed, and then the next class and the next class. So it's just been a hell of a run that they've been having since Marcus Freeman's been aboard. And there's Mike Goolsby. Welcome, Mike.
Good to see you, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
Goolsby, just sent you a text, and how you doing, man? Everything good on your end?
I'm warming up. I was just running around with a bunch of 12-year-olds. One of my customers coaches like a high-level junior league all-star team. Tim, it's very apropos on signing day. They've got a kid on this team. He's 12 years old. He's got an offer from Oregon and another school. I forget. In Omaha, Nebraska, this kid's like 6'1", 12 years old, just a speed demon. Recruiting is bonkers.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's good. I mean, good football in your area. You've sent me a lot of film over the last year of just guys you work out with, man. There's damn good football out there.
There is high school football across the board, Tim, like nationwide. Yes. It's incredible how far it's come since like when I played, 20 something years ago.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So Goolsby, we were just talking about Madden Faremo, who, like, if you would have asked me this time last week, hey, is Notre Dame going to get Faremo? I would have told you yes. If you asked me Monday, Tuesday, even early Wednesday morning, I would have said no. And then, how much of an impact did USC's linebackers coach leaving for Fresno State? Like, you can't even write this stuff that he leaves on National Signing Day morning, like late morning to you can't even make this stuff up. But so Goolsby, we just watched a little senior film, watched a little junior tape. What's your reaction to the Irish land and this stud?
Well, aside from the footage and his ability and all of this, I just wanted to touch on. I listened to maybe the first half of Freeman's press conference this morning, and obviously he led in with the great news that we had. That's a great clip, by the way, Singer. That last
swarm. That is old school swarm.
There's certain clips of this kid he shot out of a freaking cannon. But Freeman talked to him last night. He was still uncertain. Freeman talked to him this morning. He was still uncertain. And I just wanted to touch on the stress that these young men go through. And obviously there's money involved, and it's a blessing on top of blessings for these kids. But just as somebody that, I lived through that, forever ago, but we tend to kind of forget how stressful this type of decision is for some of these young men. But when we were always in the running, because it tends to, Tim, like guys will go dark. If it was between USC and Notre Dame, like a Madden Ferriamo was like going to go dark with USC or is going to go dark with Notre Dame at a certain point in time.
Yep.
So the fact that there was an open line of communication just really speaks to the level of like the relationship that Freeman and those guys have built with this kid. But another one of these kids, Tim, You got to be tickled pink, right, coming out of your former backyard. But just Mike, Will, Edge, KVA,
Play 'em.
play them wherever. They're great football players. They've got the right kind of quicks, the right kind of feet, the right kind of bendability, thin waist, long arms. Like, you can do a lot with kids like this in Golden's scheme.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Just even going back to Kingston, like, I mean, some of his best plays this year were just edge. Him just pass rushing, dipping, getting skinny on that shoulder, grabbing grass, turning his hips. It's like, and then he goes sit there and play Mike Backer and fill the A gap. Like, just play me wherever the hell you want. I don't care. And he's that type of just all around stud. I mean, even a Jalen Sneed, who's obviously taking a little bit longer, but Sneed now is clicked in the last 4 weeks of this season where he's hauling ass to the football like better than ever. And he's a guy who could play edge, and he's playing more will, played a ton of rover, obviously, the other day because they played so many 3 linebacker sets against SC. And then you get a guy like Madden, same damn thing. Where do you want to play? Hey, we need you for 3 snaps at Viper. Okay, no problem, coach. Definitely a guy that could do that.
Yeah, and that dip that we're talking about, you can't really train for that. I mean, you could do all your hip work and all that stuff, but that kind of bend is something that you're either blessed with or not. And when we get into this whole class, fellas, specifically to the defensive side of the ball, it's more of the same in terms of the athletes that we're recruiting and how multiple they are. It's like, oh, he's a Viper and he's a Money and he's a Mike and he's a Will. Okay. Because I've seen snaps where Jalen Sneed lines up at 3 technique this past season, or this current season. So it's like, I will say this: if you can't run, you can't play in this defense. If you can't run, you can't play. And this kid, Madden, can obviously run. No,
it's swarm. I mean, that's my favorite word is coaching D is swarm. The Notre Dame defense, you put on the 23 and the 24 film, and those dudes haul ass to the football. They just do. And so many of these guys are the same thing when you watch these guys film, and they just fly. And just going back to Madden, you said the dip, man, he's got it all. He literally legitimately could play Mike, because Notre Dame doesn't have your old school 248-pound Mike Backers who's going to plug the A gap. They're a bunch of dudes who can play all over the damn place.
That's right.
Kaiser, I mean, even Bowen's flipping around a ton. Sneed, like you said, all over. When they go dime, perfect example. Jalen Sneed plays the B gap. He's the stand-up B gap player, basically taking over as a 3 tech in their dime. So they could do all these things. Madden's going to play as a freshman, just like KVA is. He's going to be too damn athletic, too many skills, and they're going to find a way to get him 20 snaps a game.
Last thought, because Singer wants to move on. We're doing it already, Singer. He's like, you guys got to be quick tonight. But
this is a bona fide elite type caliber football player. So this is a big on National Signing Day, when everything doesn't happen like this. It is just awesome. It was huge news, because I had no idea until you sent that text. Singer, like, holy crap, I'm going to get on Twitter. So that was awesome.
And if Freeman and staff can spend 18 months on this kid, we can spend 10 minutes, Singer. But
I don't want to spend all night, man. It's been a long day. We got a lot to cover.
Well,
we don't do 4-hour shows here
on this kid.
But we're going back to linebackers. But go ahead.
Fans get worked up about weight, about numbers. Oh, is he 230? Is he this? Is he that? Like that last headshot, the bust of Madden with the neck and the frame. And, I met KVA over the spring. The frame is what matters on these young men, not the weight. Anyway.
So let's kind of talk about the class as a whole. Currently ranks as the number 12 class in the country. You got a 5-star in Will Black. You got, several other guys ranked fairly highly, but just I'll throw it to Goolsby first, kind of just your general impressions of this class. Do you like it? How it stacks up with some past Notre Dame classes? And then we'll go to Tim on this, and then we'll look at a few super chats.
I like the class. It's kind of top heavy to me. And I spent 2 nights ago, I stayed up late, really, really just soaking in the film. And I've absolutely warmed to maybe some of those kids on the bottom half of the class that were maybe initially when they committed months ago was kind of a head scratcher. But when you really pay attention and you watch the movement skills, like hell, Tim, I've warmed up to old boy Gordy, man. I've warmed up to him, just watching him move around. But I think the biggest thing, I think getting Scrap, right? Antavius Richardson, I think is huge for this class. Just, a speedy wide receiver with a big body. But overall, we're to the point, especially on the defensive side of the ball, where I trust Bowden, Freeman. I trust their evaluations, right? So you mentioned it, the 12th ranked class. It's folks at home aren't necessarily doing backflips over it, but also, Leonard Moore was a 3-star could be a freshman All-American type. So I trust the evaluations. I think that the Richardson kid was a huge get for us, because that's, to me, wide receivers, you could talk all day long about interior D-line, but wide receiver to me is the biggest need looking at the whole team.
Tim?
Yeah, my first take is it's a Notre Dame class, and I say that as in I counted 16 guys that are from private schools. So either a prep school, a Catholic school, some form of a private school. So to me, I've used this term before, are high achievers. And when I call them high achievers, I say that with tons of respect on guys that are used to working meaning 6 a.m. weightlifting. I mean, they do it. That's what those private schools do. They're used to it. Used to go into class, used to write a 5-page paper. So those aren't like shocking things. So those things really stick out to me. Film doesn't lie on so many of these guys. You just watch film. They're super talented. Recruiting rankings are what they are. This is without a doubt a top 10 class. When you look at some of the skill level, especially with the defense, the offensive line is massive. I mean, they have 3 giants at offensive tackle. 2 of them are going to play, and 1 probably won't. But you have 3 to choose from, and then you got a tough ass son of a gun to play interior. Defensive line, to me, it's a developmental class, but that's kind of what they've done the last couple of years. Outside of Bryce Young, there are a bunch of dudes that are just eating, lifting. Let's see where the hell you are in year 3. And I think that's what they're doing with so many of these guys. So it's a fun class. It's pretty consistent when you look at. I'm a big fan of looking at the 93 rating. To me, those are guys in the top 100s, and those guys that real quick that are the 93s that have played for Notre Dame the last couple of years. So big time success rate with their guys 93, meaning they're basically top 100 football players. So really, really successful the last few years, and I'm expecting some of these guys to be players right away.
Yep, good stuff, boys. And when you look at the class rankings, so this is. I try not to get into the class rankings because I just really get into the weeds, but this 89.86 is Notre Dame's ranking per recruit. This score over here on the right is Notre Dame's ranking per recruit when you only take into account your top 18 players in the class, because that is the average number of commits used in the ranking score based on the total average of how many Power 5 schools, like how many signees are in a Power 5 schools class, if that makes sense. So when you look at Notre Dame's, just their entire class, an 89.86, which I think an 89 is like a low-end 4-star.
Mm-hmm.
Look how close that is to, it's better than Florida's. Look how close it is to Tennessee,
yes,
A&M. So, it's really, really close. And then Miami below them. 3 spots above, 3 spots below. It's so stinking close. And then, Tim, I love what you said about this is a Notre Dame class. And you see things like we've talked a lot about Freeman's demeanor in press conferences, how he's shifted and things have changed a little bit. In year 3, it seems like Freeman's got this more of an identity in himself. And it feels like you're seeing that on the recruiting front too. Notre Dame is really settled in. And I think they really feel good about their 3-star evaluation. So I agree with Goolsby. It's top heavy. And then the more you learn and dig and talk to sources about some of the lower end guys, which we know they're all not going to hit, but you get a few of them to hit. And then, we talk about the 1/3 rule, right? few of those guys are big time. Few are just going to be contributors, and then few will transfer out and be bust. But you hope to kind of change that 1/3 rule, Tim, and make it a little less equal. But
oh yeah, real quick off of one thing each of you said on Mike on the player rating, just for all those guys listening and on the podcast later, is I've talked about this in the off seasons over the last few years, especially me and Mike when we did a show during the spring, a little dead period. Was I went back and looked at all of how close Notre Dame is, even though they've been 10, 11, 12 this year. They have been legitimately one player away from getting up into that 5-6 range. That's how close they have been in the rating. So that goes back to my Goolsby point of some of these low 3-stars, like Sean Seviano. That's a guy that's a 3-star, ranked 600th in the country, but they're fully expecting him to be a player. Yet in the team rankings, they're 11th. People might get pissed off. Oh, they're ranked 11th. But in 2 years from now, that dude's a 4-star. He's a blue chip because he's going to be playing a lot. So don't get so hung up on, is it 12, is it 9? Their player ranking is so damn close to being a 5-6 ranking of a team. And I think that's what matters.
And I think to build off of that, Tim, back to Marcus Freeman's presser this morning, he said something to the effect of, first and foremost, we look at a fit. Right. So if this is a quote unquote Notre Dame class and you're going to invest 18 months of energy and time and relationship building with Ahmed and Feriyama, and then kind of combine that with lose third, the rule of thirds. If these kids aren't a fit at Notre Dame, Tim, coming out of private schools, being accustomed to workload, the discipline academically and all those things, this class is about as close as you can get with kids that are going to mesh with the program and mesh with the academics. Does that make sense?
Oh my
God.
God.
If you scrolled up, to 9, 10, 10 through 1, how many of those kids that, a Georgia is going to sign would be a fit for Notre Dame? Right? That's the issue.
This is the thing I've been mentioning with Singer, and we're going to get into this when the playoffs are over, is the recruiting fit. Notre Dame finding the right 20-ish guys, some won't hit, but the right 20-ish, and just building a team off of them, building a culture off of them, a program off of them. And the SEC is going to eat themselves up. They just are. You already saw it today with so many kids flipping. Kids that flip on the last day, you've been committed to Ohio State for 18 months, flip to Oregon. I think there's one that did that. It's like, what's the odds of him flipping in 6 months? So those are things Notre Dame could build off of so powerfully and be in this position every single year, because you have the right 80+ guys busting their ass going out there and winning football games.
All the more reason to love the program. All these fans out there, college football fans that despise Notre Dame, I don't know what for. It's like we're swimming upstream and still finding success. It's crazy to me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about a company that really helped me. Oh, we wanted that's fine. We want to talk about a company that really helped me and my wife get through time when we had a newborn baby, and it's like, man, where's that next meal going to come from? Just because I don't want to cook, she doesn't want to cook. No one was bringing dinner that night. Factor got us through with some not only tasty meals, healthy meals, but quick. This isn't one of those, companies where you get food, now you got to make it yourself. No, it comes prepared for you. I think it's like $3.50 for 7 minutes, and you have a fresh meal. So notice how the days are shorter, but your to-do lists aren't. Power through your busy days with Factor's no prep, no mess meals, from breakfast to dinner and everything in between. Factor has easy, nutritious options to keep you fueled and feeling your best. Whether you like routine or you enjoy mixing things up, Factor has you covered with 35 different delicious meals every week and over 60 additional convenience options you can add to your box, like keto cookies, pressed juices, and the smoothies. I am telling you, I mean, the Factor smoothies are incredible. I mean, that was what me, because we got a Factor box a while back, absolutely loved it, and then when we got our Factor box in October, like those smoothies were just like absolutely incredible and We love them. We love them. We could not have enough of them. Don't let shorter days slow you down. Stay energized with America's #1 ready-to-eat meal delivery service. Head to factormeals.com/BGI, /50BGI, and use the promo code 50BGI to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code 50BGI at factormeals.com/50BGI to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping while your subscription is still active. Factor, thank you for sponsoring today's show. All right, boys, let's go through the position groups, shall we? And we'll start at quarterback. Notre Dame signed one, and it was Blake Hebert, former Clemson commitment, ranked as a 4-star according to the On3 industry ranking. We'll watch senior film. We'll go to Mr. Goolsby. What do you think about Heber? I've talked to Tim about him. I'm curious what your thoughts on this kid are, Gools.
My honest thought is he gonna? It's his recruitment so closely mirrors Kenny Minchie's. That's what I think. And it's like you hate for him to turn into an afterthought in the way that Kenny Minchie kind of seemingly has, because the way he kind of slips into the class like a thief in the night, right? So Notre Dame fans haven't really gotten a chance to fall in love with them, or like they had a CJ Carr, for example. But if he's good enough for Dabo, he's kind of a dual threat kid. I think he's got a lot of the intangibles that we've become so accustomed to hearing about. Good arm, tough kid, can run the ball. I don't really have many thoughts. That's my prevailing thought is he going to matter? Because so much of the focus from a fan perspective anyway is going to be on a CJ Carr, right?
Yeah, well, that doesn't matter.
We'll see what happens with an Angeli, what happens with Carr, what happens with Minchie, whereas this kid might get elevated in short order if somebody transfers out.
But
that's
like
just big picture.
Yeah, just looking at his film though, he seems okay. He checks the athletic box.
Mm-hmm.
I love cold weather quarterbacks. Come from, they've seen snow. They got a winter jacket. Moves well. Mechanically looks good. We'll see how it converts to college. That's the thing you never know. But it seems like just tools wise, he reminds you of a few different Notre Dame quarterbacks. Like just him moving, like he looks like Drew Pine, but like 3-4 inches taller and runs a lot faster. If you had that as Drew Pine, that's a really good quarterback. Those are just Drew Pine's limitations. He wasn't a very good athlete and he was short. This kid's got a pretty good arm too.
Did he move to the State Singer? Where's he from? British Columbia?
He's Canadian. Yeah, he's Canadian and plays at Brunswick School with Matty Augustine and Ethan Long, 2 Notre Dame guys.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
So I have mixed feelings in general. Shame on me for like extreme East Coast kids. I kind of have an anti-East Coast bias, so shame on me. So I like him. You needed a quarterback. It's a nice landing spot, losing the Deuce Knight commitment. But I was so geeked up for Deuce Knight. I'll never get to that level for Blake.
Tim?
That's where I'm at.
Yeah, 2 plays ago is the first thing. Whenever I watch quarterbacks, first thing I look for is can he throw out routes? If you can't throw an out route, you're never going to play college football. And he just threw one, bam, 20 some odd yards down the field, hash to hash. It's like things like that that's Division I quarterback play. So I always go back to off of that Goolsby. He was Preston Zinner's quarterback. That's when he was known. So he got recruited when he was a sophomore when they signed Preston Zinner. He played up there in the Boston League before he transferred. But I remember watching him as a sophomore, like, who the hell is this guy? I'm like, I remember asking you, I think that's right when Kyle may have gotten hired. I'm like, is Notre Dame recruiting this guy? And sure enough, they started to get into him late. But by then, Clemson had already had 6 months on them recruiting him. So roll from there. To me, anyone just watch the sophomore film. The dude could throw. He's a damn good football player. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does. I know he's going to be here in a week practice him when bowl practices start. So that's going to be pretty cool. You can run quarterback power. If there's one thing we have learned, and I think Goolsby talks about this, 1,006 times weekly, is you need a dude who could run. And I think Riley Leonard has shown Notre Dame fans an athlete back there, someone that could run. When it's 3rd and 8 and stuff breaks down, you could go get a first down. And those are the quarterbacks that drive people nuts. People may not, Ian Book did it all the time. You say what you want about Ian Book. That dude competed his ass off. And when you needed 9 yards, he was going to go get 10 on scrambles. He did that all the time. So I think Blake is a guy you can run quarterback power. I am dying to see what happens next year because Freeman obviously came out and said he's not going to the portal. So I want to know when it's 4th and 2, what quarterback's going to go run quarterback power next year? Because you can't account for the quarterback as a defensive guy. It is so damn hard, and Riley Leonard does that. And I think Blake's a guy you can run quarterback power with. You can run quarterback counter. Quarterback counter, the fullback and the guard pull, that's Riley Leonard's bread and butter. So, and I said this a couple of weeks ago with Singer, what is Mike Denbrock's strength? Look at his quarterbacks he's had success with. Everett Golson, a thrower and a runner. Deshaun Kaiser, a thrower and a runner. Ritter at Cincinnati, a thrower and a runner. Daniels, hell, he won a damn Heisman, and now Riley Leonard. So those are the guys to look for, not a quarterback just sitting in the pocket. That's just my 2 cents, but I like Hebert.
Sorry, let's go over to some super chats. Michael said 1D line seems like the biggest position need. Goolsby, I'm sorry, Hyde, you'll take this one. 1D line seems like the biggest position need. 2, how many are in the class? Are most likely to play early? 3 of my sleeper styles. 4, I like Herbert a lot. Is that Cope? I'm sorry, Tim, thoughts?
Yeah, D line real quick. There's no freakish freshman edge guy. There's just not. I was watching Texas the other day, and they have a freshman who's just, you can't block that guy. South Carolina's in the playoff hunt. Why? Because a freshman defensive lineman. I don't see any freshman defensive linemen in this group, but there are a ton of effort guys that are going to eat, lift, sleep, and get prepared for 18 months from now. And I think that's what Notre Dame's doing, and I think that's Freeman's plan. And unless you get a Bryce Young who could instantly play right away.
Michael, appreciate the $5 super chat. How many in the class are most likely to play early? I would probably say like 7 to 8. I could see maybe a little bit more burning the red shirt. Chris, starting the pay head coach Marcus Freeman fundraisers. Need more zeros and commas. Great work, gents. Love the coverage in this class. Go Irish. Bring on Bama. Chris, it's music to my ears, brother. Appreciate the $5 super chat. John says he's a dude. Things of that nature. Ankles, calves, pigeon toes, blue chip ratio. Thought this was the bracket projection and announcer deep dive show. John, appreciate you, brother. And Mark says, what under the radar recruit has the highest ceiling? Goolsby, do you have a thought on this?
I'll just do one. Ooh, the highest. I like that. The highest.
Yeah,
ceiling,
I like that. Yeah.
Nolan James.
Ooh.
And that's and I've got it in front of me. That's not who my initial answer was going to be, but I'll say Nolan James.
Tim?
When I say the under the radar to me are guys 500 and lower in the rankings. So you got Davion Dixon, Kia, Gordy, Bettis, Logan, Ethan Long, and Nolan James. So there's one of Goolsby's criteria. To me, I'm a Brandon Logan guy.
Yeah, Brandon Logan's my choice too. He's so freaking good.
Something about when the dude knows how to compete. He's an effort guy. Here's a guy who could be playing Major League Baseball and he's going to play Notre Dame football. To me, that's an athlete. He's going to find a way to get on the field.
Mark, this is such a good super chat. I honestly would give you a credential, like if that were up to me. You're just that's outstanding. That's outstanding question work, Mark. I'd let you in a press conference. All right, let's move over to running back. And now, as soon as we get past running back here, we'll go through positions that have multiple guys in it. Just one running back in this class. You had two. Notre Dame, whatever you want to call it, parted ways with both, and then you end up flipping Nolan James from Boston College, and he really does look great on tape. Super productive, over 5,000 career yards. and just gives Kyron Williams vibes, man. And I interviewed him and asked him about it. He's like, yeah, I hear it a ton, and he's honored for it. And so Goolsby, you were just talking about him. You're hyped about this kid. Why?
Aside from the film and the productivity and all the football stuff, there's something about that kid, his wiring. I just think that he's like about that life. I think he's going to be dialed in. I've looked at his like pictures of him, like to physique him. He is shredded. So it's like either that's genetics or that's, being disciplined with his diet. He's committed to Boston College. They've got like kind of a nice lineage at running backs. We remember Willie Green back in the day.
Yes.
Who I'm thinking of in my era.
Yes, great name there.
So like, and AJ Dillon. I mean, they've had some good backs, but this kid runs with a wide base, low pad level, like great hips, contact balance, quicks. And then you just think about, he's smaller, right? He's 5'9", but give me a 5'9", 205-pound running back all day long. They're impossible to tackle.
Exactly.
And just imagine, Tim, this kid hiding behind 6'6", 325 pounds across the board. I love him. I think he's going to be a really special player. I do.
My favorite part about it, I mean, number one, he's an inside runner. So when you talk about size, smallish type guys, obviously we always think about, Kyron Williams, obviously the latest one. But there's also like Chris Tyree, top 100. Everyone, the speed. But he wasn't an inside runner, and he did not have vision. I mean, Singer knows this. I lost my mind on many post-game shows where he's like, dude, there's the A gap, cut back, damn it. And he wouldn't cut back. And he would get stuff, and everyone gets blamed but him. This dude knows how to cut. This guy has vision. He's an inside-the-box runner, which Notre Dame.
Look at this.
It's pure effort. Notre Dame, it runs duo, and they run inside zone. Those are their bread and butter running plays. So this guy knows how to run C gap to C gap, and that's it. And that's a strength. I mean, same with Aeneas Williams. Why is Aeneas Williams playing this so much? Because he knows how to play inside the box. Aeneas Williams does not get hit behind the line of scrimmage a lot because he's a shifty freshman, and Nolan James has that capability. And to the last point is going back to my thing, the high achievers. He's ripped because he likes the weight room. Guys that like the weight room have success at Notre Dame, and that's a huge positive there.
Goolsby, when you watch some football players or like receivers, running backs, tight ends, sometimes they like catch the ball a little clunky. Like some of their just football movements are just a little clunky. This kid is so far on the other side of the spectrum. Like everything he does is smooth and silky and just fluid. Every movement just looks.
Tim makes a great point in terms of the Tyree comp or comparison or whatever. And we can all flash back to Tyree trying to run inside zone. Yeah, and Timmy would get to the line and it would be all those stutter steps.
Yes.
This kid does everything. Singer, to your point, we see it a lot with Jeremiah Love, right? He does everything in stride. You make everything look easy. So, but just the way this kid can like hug a corner, right? He takes the air out of takes angles away from linebackers. I mean, he's going to be a really good player. He's going to be a really good player.
I mean, he just did 2 cuts within 2 yards inside the red zone, and that. To me, I mean, when I see him, I just, okay, how's he going to fit in Notre Dame's offense? He's an inside the box duo, inside zone, cutback runner, and he already has those skills.
Most importantly, bow-legged Singer.
I'm going to even double down on the most important thing. To me, 2 running backs last year, 1 this year. I know people are like, oh, we need 2 backs. No. I'm screaming from the rooftops. A light recruiting year at running back. Why? Because Mr. Jeremiah Love's leaving next year. So go find the next Jeremiah Love. Notre Dame has a wide open recruiting position to go get an elite SEC running back for the class of 2026. So that's my favorite part of only recruiting 1 back this year.
Let's move on to our favorite discussion to talk about is the wide receiver position. Elijah Burris, 4-star wide receiver, son of Plexico Burris, 6'6.5", 175 pounds, clocked at a mid 4.5 or 4.58 or something like that in the 40-yard dash at Notre Dame over the summer. High school teammate Nolan James, very productive as a senior. Jerome Bettis Jr., 6'3", 185 pounds. Take a guess who his dad is. Lower ranked guy. Had actually a decent senior season, playing some big time ball, and also looks good at safety. And then you have Mr. Scrap Richardson, the number 255 overall player. So it's like, oh man, all this talk about the receivers. Yeah, you didn't get some of the guys you wanted. Your Derek Meadows and your Jalen Coopers and your Tinakines, and still ended up with 2 4-stars and Jerome Bettis kid. I don't know. I would say I'm optimistic, but then I don't know. That's what I said in the preseason show about the receivers on the football team. But I still love the group. All right, maybe not love. I like the group a lot. I like these 3. Would I have liked to have Derek Meadows with it or Jalen Cooper with it? Yes, but these 3 in a vacuum, each guy, I like them. I like them. Tim, what say you?
Yeah, I mean, I'll take a pause right there. I mean, it's I mean, seriously, man, it's going to be a wait and see. So Burris, I think, is a lighter Bo Collins. How's that? I mean, Bo Collins was a better high school football player than Burris. That's my opinion. Richardson, I know, has a lot of height. The SEC school, I mean, the dude's fast as could be. You watch him run, you're just like, wow, look at this guy run. Can he catch a football? We don't know. We've never seen him catch a football. That's why he was being recruited to play defense by Alabama and all the other SEC schools. So that's going to be interesting. And Bettis, I've said about Bettis for 18 months. I like him at safety. The dude's got long arms, big wingspan, covers a lot of ground. I've seen him make more plays at safety than I did wide receiver. So wide receiver, man, rest in peace, Mr. Loose Emoji, who, the DNs are not the white whales, my good man. It is wide receiver, because wide receiver is, I have no idea. I mean, they offered 50 of them this year, and these are the 3 that they got. So to me, it's a massive developmental year. Hopefully Cam Williams could play. Some of these other young guys could play, and they're going to have to hit the portal to get a couple of guys that can play in 2025 with a rookie quarterback.
Ghouls?
I'm glad you asked Tim first. To be clear, Scrap Richardson, Antavius Richardson, Tim, you know it. He is going to be a developmental guy, but he's long, he's thin, and he can run. And it's like all of us watch a lot of football on Saturdays, and all across the board, as you flip through the channels, there's kids from SEC country. He's from Georgia that can catch the ball and go. And when you really get into our film of the way the roster is, currently constructed, we don't have guys like that. All those little bubble screens or little tunnel screens or any sort of that short passing game with Riley, if you get that ball into the hands of the right type of athlete, they can turn that into big time positive yardage if they can put their foot in the ground and frickin' run. And I believe that Scrap can do that. So, and probably not a natural Notre Dame fit. And there's something really compelling, intriguing about that as well.
No, I mean, that's one thing. I mean, you watch his film, it takes you 2.5 plays to realize that this guy could run. Him as a wildcat quarterback will go 70 in a blink. So it's just going to be obviously all those skills he's got to learn and things of that nature. But you're right, man. If that's one dude that could just catch a flanker screen into the boundary, Mike Denbrock loves those quick X screens right into the boundary. If he could catch that and go, man, you got a dude for a couple of years, just like they did with Will Fuller when they brought him in.
Another kid don't care what he weighs either. If he's 176 pounds soaking wet, couldn't care less. As long as he can run, who cares?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fine, fast guys.
He can run. Bettis is, I don't hate the Bo Collins comp. And I think Bettis is Deion Colsey, and I think it is a wait and see. But I don't know. I tend to like the group.
I like Burris too. Burris is a very clean receiver. Obviously, he's got a ton of lineage with his dad. His dad wasn't a burner either,
Right?
but I mean, he's a great wide receiver. But just as the games evolve, you need guys that have that 5th, 6th, 7th gear, right?
Yeah,
but he's a really clean receiver.
And that's why I call him Bo. I mean, Bo Collins was a hell of a football player at St. John Bosco. He's the guy who's going to, and then even at Clemson, he's the guy that's going to catch up. Well, he hasn't caught in a month, but he should be that guy that could catch those 15-yard square ends, the stop routes, and things of that nature. So hopefully Bo gets back to that when they start playing here in a couple of weeks.
Zeus says, I just signed up for the board. Zeus, love to hear that, brother. Message board, blueandgold.com. It's fantastic. Lots of good stuff there. R. Mendoza says, any additions to the class we should look for? Honestly, not at this point. In terms of high school, transfer portal, yes. But I think transfer portal, it's going to be quiet. I don't think much is going to get out while Notre Dame's in the playoffs. That's my personal opinion, and that's in terms of outgoings and incomings. I think it's going to be quiet. R. Mendoza, appreciate the two. Let's go to the tight end position. James,
hold on. That was the quickest wide receiver talk we've ever had. So congratulations.
Good for us.
Good for us.
Mike Ryan says, excited for the new O-line coming in. Curious what you guys would grade Rudolph's tenure so far at Notre Dame. Love the show. Mike, we'll talk about that when we get to O-line in just a minute.
Definitely.
James Flanagan, nation's number 117 overall player, number 6 tight end in America. A lot of these guys don't put senior film out, they don't really need to. So for Flanagan, we got to watch junior tape. But Goolsby, I believe this is a kid you're really excited about, son of a former Notre Dame defensive lineman Jim Flanagan.
Yeah, I was actually fortunate to have him and his dad over on the Patreon. Interesting fact, Tim. He kind of grew up with Cole Kmet. I don't remember all the particulars, but they're family friends. So I think there's something there in terms of like a role model, and he's kind of seen a path. But he's a great football player. Plays a little bit of linebacker, plays a little bit of D-line. You love the NFL lineage. He just feels like the next one, right? Because I was never like totally sold on Jack Larson. I like Cooper Flanagan now more than I did coming out, but it's always like, why don't we have these 6'6" just stud tight ends? And I mean, this is Notre Dame, for crying out loud. And he just feels like a natural, like what we've become accustomed to at the tight end position here. He's kind of the next one up, if that makes any sense.
Oh yeah. No. That's a good point, because he's super, super talented. He's an effort guy. He's unbelievable at defensive end as well. So when you get those guys that can play both ways, it's awesome to get. But Flanagan there are some, the senior stuff I saw on YouTube. I've seen some stuff on Twitter. He's bigger, faster, stronger than last year. He's an animal. He's a Troy Nicholas. He's a Cooper Flanagan, a Cole Kmet, like you said. He's all these guys. All these Notre Dame tight ends all look the same, man. They're just one after another. So freakish athlete. His dad, by the way, for the old timers that know, his dad was a linebacker. Came to Notre Dame as a middle linebacker and just ate. But he played middle linebacker as a true freshman, him and Bryant Young, but they just kept getting too big and put their hand in the ground. And obviously were the great, one of the greatest D tackle duos ever in the 1993 season. So his dad was awesome. He was a freaking tear. But yeah, Flanagan's a stud tight end. He that's another guy he's got to play, because Notre Dame's really might be a little thin at tight end after Mitch, because obviously you don't want to deal with injuries. So I would expect him, if he's a mid-year guy, Singer, to come in, play a lot and get right in the mix right away, because he's got the body. Yeah, he's got the body to play, and that's key.
Yeah, and there's a precedent for playing young kids. Obviously, Cooper Flanagan played last year, but I'm just you could look at productivity or whatever on film. And as I tell all these high-level high school kids I train, it's like, great, you got a sack. Thumbs up. But how did you look getting that sack, right? Yes. That's what you're being evaluated on. And Flanagan's a kid that he's a loose kid and he moves the right way. He's a really nice, like a pretty runner, like when you really watch him open up and get into stride. So yeah, he just feels like the next Notre Dame tight end to me.
How tall is he, Singer? What's he listed? Is he listed at 6'6"?
I think 6'5",
Okay.
6'5" and a half.
He told me on the podcast he was taller than Kmet.
Wow. And Kmet, Kmet's obvious. Kmet was a hell of a football player. Now he is obviously with the Bears. So yeah. And you get another Cole Kmet. That's a double bonus point there.
Yep. We're all in agreement. I like Flanagan to play as a true freshman. And I think if it weren't for Flanagan, it would be like a no-brainer for the staff to take a portal tight end, but they still might. But I think with Flanagan, there's like a conversation because they do feel really good about him.
I was gonna say that's a good point with a portal guy because you only got Eli, Cooper, Flanagan, and then we'll see how. Larson does not fit the mold size-wise as a Notre Dame tight end, so where does he fit in the mix? And you need 4 just in case of any nicked up injuries.
I think we had a super chat. Okay, so yeah, we'll go to Mike Ryan's now. Grade you guys would give tenure. Mike, appreciate it. Would you guys have a grade for? I mean, you don't actually have to give a grade, but just what you thought about Joe Rudolph. I mean, this O-line class is it's got to be one of the best in the country.
He's been here obviously 2 seasons. He's recruiting good. The offensive line, obviously, the way they developed with, just losing the guys, obviously 2 NFL tackles, what they've had to develop, build with this year. The guys do a hell of a job, man. They're a Joe Moore Award semifinalist. I thought they should have been a finalist. I was blown away they didn't get nominated last night because their numbers are elite compared to Texas. It's just mind-boggling. So that was a shocker because I thought the Notre Dame O-line's really come a long way, and obviously with the 2 running backs over 7 yards a carry. So, and then when you got recruiting, he's doing a hell of a job, and I think he's going to have I think the 26 class is going to be every bit as good as his first 2.
I think he's a good. He's done a good job. I cannot wait to see what the offensive line is next year in terms of personnel. Because however it shakes out, the upside is going to be incredible. And I think that's when you can really see a coach go to work with a lot of athletes, with a lot of tools, right? So this year, it's a patchwork group, and you give them all a ton of credit for making it work.
All right, let's talk about the O-line class specifically. You had, of course, 5-star Will Black, number 26 overall player, number 6 offensive tackle according to the On3 industry ranking, of course, On3's own rankings, number 2 player in the country. And I'm pretty sure when On3 ranked him number 2 overall, the other sites had him as like low 4-star or a 3-star. You see everyone else has followed suit there. Cam Herron has really jumped up in the rankings. He is actually the second highest ranked according to the On3 industry ranking, second highest ranked Notre Dame offensive line commit in the class. Flipping him from Iowa. Tim Hyde and I talked about him for months, and that was out without real intel. We were just like, yeah, we can see Notre Dame flipping him late, and they did. He'll play center for the Irish. Owen Streebig, 6'7", 295 pounds, on the lower end of a 4-star ranking, and then Matty Augustine, just outside of 4-star status. He's from Brunswick schools. So both Streebig and Augustine listed at 6'7", 295. And soon enough, I will just go by what Notre Dame listed these guys as for updated height and weights. Should have already done that. But Tim, our O-line guru, what do you think about this O-line class? And as we hear from you on it, we'll watch some Will Black tape. And I hope you comment on his touchdown. I don't know if we've done that, but he had a touchdown. You will never see an offensive lineman score this. It's right here. You will never see an offensive lineman score another touchdown like this again. Like this is look at, he's at the 57 yards out, right? Just blow bys everybody. I mean, you'll never see that again. But Tim, what do you think?
No, I mean, as I said earlier, you got 3 giants to choose from, and Will, Matty, and obviously Owen. They're monsters. They're huge. I mean, there was a picture during the spring when they're all standing around Deuce Knight, and Deuce Knight's 6'5", and he looked like he was 5'11". Those guys are huge. Cameron Herron, I love because he's just 1,000% effort guy. He's going to just be a meat potato guy. He's going to be a Notre Dame guy. He's going to bust his ass. He's going to be one of those program type guys. They're going to develop, teach him how to play center. And I could see him being a Sam Mustipher type guy, same type of body, same size, all those things when Sam came to Notre Dame under Harry Hiestand. So just super talented. I mean, Will Black's senior film is elite times elite. It is freakish. He's got amazing fundamentals. He's damn good, man. He really is. So I know that, we're going to get questions between now and August. Can he play as a freshman? How? I mean, it's going to be hard because I don't think you said he's a mid-year guy. So he's going to be a summer guy, correct? Exactly. So it's going to be Gerby Lambert. He's going to have to learn how to play. Talent level between Notre Dame and the New England private league is a little different, but he's got the skill sets. And all of them are monsters. Owen Strebig's huge. I'm dying to see how he develops because he's huge. And Maddie's got that true offensive tackle length as a guy. He could be like to me, like a Emil Wagner. Let him eat, develop for a couple years, see what he does in year 3.
Goals?
I have a lot of thoughts on this. And maybe, Tim, you've rubbed off on me in terms of just being – because generally speaking, I dislike offensive linemen, right? That's just a defensive player in me.
Of course.
Truly. But this Will Black high school tape is clinic. It's clinic film. Yes. And if you start with Will Black, and if you want to break down the class, which I'm going to do on Patreon, by the way, ding, 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 bringing a special guest on. But watch Will Black's feet and then watch Strebig's feet. Look the typewriter feet.
Look at him out in space.
The low base. I mean, he's got, he plays with a low base. His stance, Tim, looks damn near identical to what we watched from Joe Alt the last several years.
Yes.
I mean, me personally, I wouldn't rule him playing out as a true freshman. Look what we've seen in the last several years between a Blake Fisher and a Joe Alt and Knapp this year. I wouldn't rule it out. In regards to like a Strebig, doesn't have the same kind of bend, doesn't have the same kind of feet, but to Hyde's point, he's freaking massive. So that's the balancing act when you're looking at a tackle. Sometimes these guys can be so damn big, they don't have to have great feet because it's like trying to walk around a couch or get around a lazy boy or something. It takes time because they're just so big.
Didn't you play with Brendan Curtin? I mean, Curtin was with you, right?
Curtin, yeah. Curtin was 6'9". He's the tallest player to ever play for the Packers.
He's huge. Exactly.
Huge.
These are the guys they're signing a bunch of Brendan Curtin guys. Jordan
We
Black.
almost got into it. We almost got into it in college one time. We were out having a couple pops. This is a funny story, Tim.
Oh, here we go. I love it.
And I was like, yeah, let's go outside. And we went outside. I was like, oh. I was like, I can't fight this guy. Like, he's huge.
Huge.
And somehow I talked my way out of it. But like once we got outside, like this is impossible. It's impossible. He's so big. But yes, impossible to get around.
Yes, you're so right. They're space eaters. They're space eaters. Everyone's excited to play Alabama in a couple of weeks. Wait till they see space eaters out there. Large butts just sucking up space. But
I have my doubts about Herron though. I have my doubts. When you watch his high school film,
he's an effort guy.
You look at his high school unit, physically he doesn't stand out in terms of he's small, right? So it's like, kid, you glad Notre Dame waited on his offer. He wanted the Notre Dame offer from what I understand. So I have my reservations about him in particular.
No, I hear you. And real quick on Will Black, one thing like scouts look for is when you're out in space on screens and things of that nature, and your arms aren't wailing around, they're inside, thumbs up, inside, boom, hitting a target. Will does that all the time. And that shows a skill level of keeping your feet under you, able to break down and strike with contact right on a guy. And he did that on one of the screens, which is
just teaching those 12-year-olds that, Tim. Aim small, miss small, they say.
Yes.
Aim small, miss small.
Thumbs up, inside leverage, right into the breastplate right there. And that's Will Black does that really nice.
All right, let's move over to the defensive line. pretty solid group, but it doesn't have. They just didn't get that Viper. I mean, Chris Burgess, 6'4", 240 pounds. He's got a high upside, and I like to, every time I talk about Chris, I like to throw this out there. When he committed in January of 2024, this was very much one of those where it's like, yeah, just how this one played out, I see this being a whole show moving forward. Rock solid. Didn't waver at all. Shout out to Chris Burgess, real leader of the class, visited all the time. Big fan of Chris Burgess. So I think he's got a pretty high upside as a strong side end. Dom Hulock, same size, 6'4", 240. Interested to see what you guys think about Dom Hulock. On threes, really likes his tape. Joe Reef, 6'5", 250. 3 Chicago guys. Hope Goolsby likes his Chicago guys here. You know, he projects as a 5 or a 3 tech kind of guy. Gordy Solstead, what did Notre Dame announce him at? Give me a second here, because he's listed at 6'5", 235. I feel like that's got to be pretty old. So he is 6'4", 245. So not that far off. I don't know what to expect from Gordy Solstead. I would imagine this is a developmental, beef him up and play 3 tech. I don't know. And then Davion Dixon, 6'3", 305. He is a nose all of the way. Notre Dame actually announced him at 6'1", 316. It's a big boy. So Goolsby, thoughts on this D-line class?
Well, we'll start with Reef. I really like him, a kid that he moves the right way, pigeon-toed. He just really moves the right way. Definitely a developmental kid. I think he could play a strong side end. Sometimes it feels lazy just to assume that these big white guys are going to slide into 3 technique and become the next Riley Mills. It feels lazy to say that. So I'm going to give him in particular the opportunity, the chance to stick outside and play big end for us. Because, like I said, for as big as he is, he's really loose. So he's the type of kid that could get up to 275, 280 and still kind of – that's been my big knock, Tim, on Riley Mills is as strong as he is, God, is he tight. I mean, in order to turn a corner or something like that, he is tight. Gordy, kind of feel the same way. Gordy's problem is his first name. You know, if his name was Michael Solstead or if his name was Tim Solstead, it's the Gordy that sticks out to you. But he's got a chance, missed his whole senior year. The type of kid that's going to go on the shelf. We won't hear about him for a couple years. He's going to wake up one day and be 285. We'll see. But I think, Tim, you've mentioned that in the past. He's a really good basketball player. Davion Dixon, any kid that's 300 plus, gimme. You know, just load him up, right? Nobody likes Sean Sevillano coming out of high school. I did. I don't think Davion's as slippery as Sevillano. I don't think he plays quite as hard as Sevillano does in terms of effort to the ball, but he's absolutely got a shot. And you just need those 310-pound guys. You just do. And we haven't had them. And Burgess, I think Burgess is going to be an NFL guy for a lot of reasons. I think he's going to be a hungry player for us, kind of a quiet leader. But watching his tape, he seems like an NFL guy. And he's starting to kind of put it together as a pass rusher. But to your point, I'll be brief. I think how we kick this off, Tim, in terms of looking at edge guys with dip and bend, where Hulock's probably going to put his hand in the ground. We've only got one guy like that, and it's Traore. It's just he's built the right way, you know, with the thin waist, with the long arms, the fluidity. Those kids are hard to come by, especially at a Notre Dame. But Burgess has got a chance. I think he's going to be an NFL kid.
Yeah, that's real quick on Traore. That's the one that's going to hurt in the playoffs, because who's that guy that could go just one-on-one pass rush move for Notre Dame? So, and that's going to hurt, come then. But that's with this class. Yeah, Hulock, I am dying to see. I've only watched a little bit of his senior film, and he's playing running back and things of that nature. So I'm curious to see what On3 sees in him, because I think he's a huge developmental guy. So we'll roll from there. Gordy, same thing. He's a Catholic school kid out of Cincinnati. Let him go eat. and go, play his tail off. Burgess is a stud, just tremendous athlete. Like Singer said, man, he came to Notre Dame. It felt like every other weekend. So just always there, like just unannounced, just showing up, saying hi. And that's big. And we can't forget he picked ND over the Buckeyes and the Wolverines. And that was a win times 10. So Dixon, dude, I mean, you can't have enough guys that look and play like Cedric Hilliard, just A gap, just bam, go kick butt during the old Goolsby days and just roll from there. So I'm excited about him. And then Reef, dude, I love this guy. He's just straight. He's effort. He's just straight effort. The guy plays like a maniac. His hair on fire. He just plays hard as hell. So wherever he's going to play, I don't care. Get him on the field. His film, when they first offered him, you watch him, it's just a sophomore film. He popped out right away. It was like, holy hell, look at this guy. So he's just effort. And guys like that have success at Notre Dame.
So, I'm sorry, Goolsby. Goolsby, go ahead. Start over.
When we focus too much on the effort thing, we tend to think, oh, he's not skilled or he's not. I mean, he's a really good athlete too. He's a really good athlete that moves well, that also plays his tail off.
Yeah, he's relentless. He's relentless.
You got to make that clear. I mean, he's a really loose athlete, and he's pigeon-toed.
Man, yeah, and you're right. I mean, that guy, he legitimately could be a C gap edge player. There's no doubt about it. He's got length and all those things. I mean, he's bigger, faster, stronger than Josh Burnham when he's going to be there as when he's a junior compared to what Josh is right now as a junior. So yeah, the sky's the limit for him.
So it seems like on the D line, it's like, all right, it's a solid group, but there's not just like that top. Like I get Burgess, but then it's like, all right, yeah, it's a solid group, but it still is missing that Traore, Bryce Young, just like pass rushing freak on the outside.
Pass rush. I mean, even Logan Thomas.
Thomas, yeah.
Logan Thomas is going to obviously be a guy down the road. The class of 23 was Traore, and then a bunch of inside guys, and they're going to be in their third year. So there've been just a ton of developmental guys, and that's we're going to have to see what they are. And Notre Dame is going to have to go to the portal. They probably bring in a tackle, bring another edge, but hey, that's why the portal's there. Use it and just build off of that.
Mike,
can I make one last? Oh, that's terrible.
I don't know if he's talking about your exes or mine. Go ahead.
When you really get into golden scheme though, Tim, there's so much movement, and I don't know if the movement's a byproduct of not having a couple dudes, real legitimate dudes. There's so much movement and stunting and slants. It's I don't know if you necessarily need a dude, right? As opposed to you're looking for length and certain specific traits. So, but it would be nice to have, Traore could be a first round pick type edge guy. I mean, that's how quickly he was ascending. And I feel very much the same way about Bryce Young.
No, that's a great point on Traore. I mean, if you have two Traores on your edges, you don't need to do our famous Mike Will X blitz up the A gap. So you don't need those things. And Notre Dame's strength is obviously the blitz package because they don't have that straight edge guy. That's going back real quick with KVA and Madden, the way they could flip their hips on the edge against an offensive tackle with those long arms. They could do that where Tuli Alamaka can't. Tuli Alamaka is a hard nose. I'm going to knock the living hell out of you in the C gap type of a stand-up end. But with Madden and KVA, they can flip the hips. So they just need those.
Put
dudes.
that on a T-shirt already.
What did I say?
The hell out of you.
You know that's knock the living hell out of you was on the original Tim Hyde bingo chart that J Carr made. That's why I laughed because
I love it. Hey, it's funny. It's just violence. It's funny. The whole Freeman thing. I used to tell. I tell my players all the time. It's like football's. You know why football's great? You literally could go beat the living hell out of someone, and you're okay. People cheer for it. So yeah. Violence is encouraged on the football field. So go knock the living hell out of someone for 48 minutes in high school, 60 in college, and have fun doing it.
Folks, please hit the thumbs up on this video if you have not done so yet. If you're new here, subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content. It's always great getting the three amigos together I think we've done signing day show the past few years, and it's always fun.
Hey, speaking of violence, Tim, you sent me that link. If anybody hasn't seen it,
Which one was that?
it's not much to speak of, right? But it's very clean and it's very short. They follow the Michigan team walking down the short tunnel
I love
into
that.
Buckeye Stadium, and they've got the soundtrack from Sicario. I'm not familiar, but like when they round that corner and that thing opens up and you see all that sea of red, it's like, ooh, does that not give you goosebumps, man? Like when you think about violence, oh.
Seriously, I mean, games. I mean, you played in those. It's like at Notre Dame's level. And see, I'm getting freaking hyped now, man. It's like that's gonna be the playoff game. Those dude, it's gonna be Friday night. They're gonna come out of that tunnel, electric as hell. The lights beaming, the green, the smoke, dude. You're walking. I mean, seriously, football is at that and those types of moments. Dude, it's the Roman Empire, man. It's the modern day gladiators. You are going to just go bam, go violent, 11 on 11 violence for 60 freaking minutes with 80,000 people going nuts and cheering for more and more and more. So yeah, that clip, people need to watch that. If you get hyped up, just the entrance alone.
When they turn that corner and you see that sea of red, I almost retweeted it and I was like, there's really no amount of money that can buy you that kind of an experience or something like that.
Dude, your game in 04, you're going to Tennessee, Rocky Top, 111,000 people. You're walking into that after the Volunteers run through the tee. There comes the little Fighting Irish coming out there, and you're running into that. It's like, dude.
It's amazing. I mean, it's going to be a long couple weeks, Tim. It's going to be a long couple weeks here.
Oh, my God. Sunday at noon, we find out. Here we go.
Let's move over to linebacker, where it went from like another, all right, yeah, good pieces. We'll see, kind of, and then then you land Madden Faremo, who is like a bona fide freaking stud. Gives you Kingston vibes. So yeah, you get Madden Faremo at the top, one of the best players in the class. I mean, so coveted by Notre Dame. I mean, the staff doesn't go and say, all right, well, here's where our board stacks up by. Let's compare the linebacker to the center. Like, they don't do it like that. But I'm just telling you guys and talking to sources, like Faremo was one of the most targeted, wanted players in this class. Anthony Sacca, someone who Notre Dame was on, I think the Irish offered him like a week or two after Freeman was named head coach. So it's been a long time that Notre Dame was recruiting Sacca. I think they offered him initially as a safety. Sacca's dad played with Al Golden at Penn State. So Sacca's played a ton of football. I'm starting since a freshman at St. Joe's Prep in Philly, like big time ball, beefed up from safety to linebacker. Sacca, don't be surprised if he's like a special, like I think Sacca could be like your Logan Thomas in 2025. Your Logan Thomas has played every single game on special teams. I could see that being Sacca. And then Ko'o Kia, my sources love Ko'o Kia. And like, I don't know if Faremo now might drop Kia from like playing in 2025 in like a special teams role or something, but don't sleep on Ko'o Kia. He's just a Hawaiian kid. They don't get out the camps. You don't talk about these kids enough. But I think this is a really, really good linebacker trio for the Fighting Irish, Tim.
Yeah. Let me go quick, and I'll let Goolsby go from there. Madden, we've talked plenty about him. He's going to play. You got to get him on the field. The skill sets, the athleticism. I mean, he could play all over the place. Even if it's just the dime package and you're getting out there 8 times a game, he's got to make something happen. Sacca's interesting, as you said. He was a safety, and he's my favorite player of all time outside of Mike Goolsby is Rocky Boydman. I just loved Rocky because he's a safety. Harrison Smith, the same type of a guy, a safety, those old drop backers, the old Sams, those types of guys. Sacca's one of those. Safety, just grow into those outside backer type of athletes. Long, I like the way he runs. And Kia's playing somewhere. That is a dude, blindfold him, and he will sniff out the ball. He is so damn good on film. Seriously, he's all over the damn place. There's some tacklers like, my God, he gets so damn low, fills gaps, especially on screens or outside zone runs, and he just knows how to wiggle in between guys. and just go fit perfectly on tackles. So he's a stud. I really like him.
I think that's all well said. Saka, and obviously this is my position, right? So I'm pretty invested here. Saka reminds me a lot of Nolan Ziegler, who's no longer with the program, but he super smart kid, Tim, right? Really understands the game. He reminds me a lot of Ziegler. I totally agree with you, Koa Kia. Younger brother of Kahano Kia, who, by the way, Tim, was the best linebacker on the field in the spring game, if you remember. He was killing it.
Like 9 solo tackles.
I think his brother being in the program is going to accelerate Ko's development, right, in terms of learning scheme and such. You could just tell he's going to fill out a little bit more. Super violent. That's another thing. He's a big hitter, right? One of those kids you could just tell is kind of densely built. Like when he hits you, you're going to feel it. He was one of the, we were pre-show, we were going to each talk about 5 kids. He was a kid I wanted to spend some time on. And those Hawaiian kids, those Polynesian heritage, they're tough as nails. Big upside with Ko'okia. I like him quite a bit. And obviously Ferriyama's he's been talked about quite a bit. But a lot of these guys, whether it was like a Ziegler or whether it was Preston Zinter, Hulak's one of these guys. Who knows what Bodie Cahoon's going to turn into? All of these guys that aren't necessarily special athletes, really, really good football players. All of them categorically, I could see them playing some sort of edge at I've always thought that Zinter could be a Viper.
Yes.
Just because they're all long and they can all run and cover. And I might even put Saka in that category as well.
No, I know. I've always wanted Zinter to play tight end. I just love the way he caught the ball in high school. Hell of an athlete. So, these are super talented. Just watching Kia again, it's like you got 3 guys, all private school kids, all guys that know how to work, go to school smart, breaking down film at this type of level in high school football. These coaches are just, they just work, and these kids feed off of that and learn from that. So,
can I make one other thing about Kia, because he looks thin on film? I thought a lot about this because to me, Tim, looking at this season, Osbury is one of your better linebackers. Like he just is all across the board, coverage, blitzing, feel for the game. He's been fantastic for us, but he's tiny.
Yes.
And I think that Kia is just big enough to fill out, but not outgrow the position, if that makes sense. If he's 6'3", 220 now, he can be 6'3", 230, clean, and he can stay inside. And he can bang. Whereas, that's the problem with Osbury. He's just so diminutive in general, heart of a tiger, but he's just tiny,
But he hits, baby. That guy loves violence. But these are like some of those great Georgia defenses. Their linebackers, bunch of 205 guys that just fly to the football. So swarm like hell, and that's Osbury and Kia. I think is perfect combination right there.
I didn't expect us all to be on the Kia train just as much as this, because I'm telling you, I've got so many sources who are just like, this kid is it yes. Great bloodlines too. You mentioned Kahanu. His dad played. He was a defensive lineman for the Utah Utes in the 80s. Someone asked about if he's going to take his mission. Kia told me that he is going to play his freshman season at Notre Dame, and then it's TBD. His brother did the same thing, played in 2021, left for 2 years, and then obviously got hurt. In the spring, out for the year. So we'll see what Kia does.
I wouldn't sleep on these Kia brothers, because his Kahana Kia was killing it in the spring game. He was killing it.
And the high school they count, it's Manti High School. That's elite football, a big time football at out there in Hawaii. So
Ghouls, 20 seconds. We just kind of talked about it, but I've been saying Kia I like in that Maris Leafout, Jalen Sneed role. Do you like that for Ko'o?
Yeah, perhaps. I don't look at, like I said earlier, Singer. I get what you're saying for sure. I'll co-sign on that.
Okay.
But I don't look at roles. I mean, if you can run, Golden and staff are going to find a spot for you, point blank. You know, I mean, you saw Osbear playing corner against Army. It's like, if you can run, that's the number one thing. But Kia is very physical, very hard hitter, almost like you've come to expect from like an Urlacher or Kennedy Urlacher.
Moving on to the defensive backs, and I wrote an article on signing day, and I've done it for the past, this is my third year, a Notre Dame assistant coach recruiter of the year. And it was, I mean, for me, it was Mickens or Rudolph. And the really deciding factor is O-line's a little bit easier to recruit to Notre Dame, but DB it isn't. And Mickens, in his first year as the defensive backs coach, and I know there's guys who help him there, but he's the DB's coach. He was leading with these corners and safeties. You get Dallas Golden, a big-time athlete, pound for pound, one of the best players in the country. Jadon Blair, some Kyle Hamilton vibes with him, just his playing style, his size. That's a big-time get. Mark Zachary, another just tremendous athlete. Freeman talked about his press conference. Like, Zachary is in a legit hooper. Like, he could play Division I hoops. Scrolling on down, who do we got? Cree Thomas comes from the same high school as Ben Morrison. When you watch them both on their high school tape, like there are some similarities there. Ethan Long, 6'2", 185-pound safety, picked the Irish over Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State. That's not bad. And then Brandon Logan, who just has some freakish ability to him, and he just has been a baseball player to this point, Tim, and he's just kind of now getting into football full time. You got to be fired up about this DB class. Like, this is to be the best position group that Notre Dame signed in this class.
Yeah, I mean, historically, it's one of the best athletic groups. Obviously, the size wise with the numbers, it's, you know, we'll see what they are in a few years, but coming into Notre Dame, you got a bunch of skill guys that can play early, and they are going to be needed. There's definitely going to be some holes because Notre Dame's had to go to the portal to fill spots, and they may still need a portal, especially at safety. And we'll see how some of these guys go. But skill guys, Zachary play as wide receiver. Dallas Golden, just give him a damn football. Let him do what he wants. He could play all over the damn place. Jadon Blair, the length. Ethan Long is one of those 3-star guys that's super talented, I think, as well. And then the last one, oh my God, Brandon Logan's one of my favorite guys. He's just, I just love the way he runs. And then I think Kyle was retweeting stuff during Friday nights. Like, what would he have, 6 or 7 pick sixes? Seemed like every weekend Kyle Kelly's posting a pick on Brandon Logan scoring. So he was all over the place. A lot of talented athletes. Going back to Goolsby's point on the defense, find roles for these guys, let them play. They have to find 2 corners that are just going to be like, your ass is covering them for 60 minutes. Have fun. And the rest of you guys will just interchange all over the place. So lock in a couple of these corners and see which ones could run and play.
Ghouls, what do you think?
Well, it sounds like I need to watch more of Brandon Logan's film, right? So I'll cop to that. Sounds like I need to watch a little bit more of his film. I think Jadon Blair.
No, I was going to say, when you watch him, going back to Mike's point, like a dude that could play Major League Baseball, and just look at him run, his skill set, and I just like him as an athlete, so that's why I'm excited about him.
It's because you got to take. And watching this, the all 22 now, it's like I have a totally different perspective, because it's like, as much as sexy as it is to have, I mean, Jadon Blair is 6'5", right? Running back. I mean, you got a small forward just playing center field, just roaming, right? Run and hit. But we play so much man coverage with our safeties and Golden scheme. It's just something to take into consideration. But he strikes me as an NFL guy. The first thing that really jumped out to me is his back pedal, in terms of having his chest over his knees and like good technique. And I think there's some NFL, or at least his dad played college football. Go ahead, Tim.
No, I'm just sitting here not agreeing with you. Stance, pads over toes, man. natural ability. I love it. No, I'm just listening, shaking.
I mean, I think Blair is like an NFL kid. I think Zachary is going to be awesome. Tim, Zachary has the longest arms I've ever seen.
Have you seen him play basketball?
I've seen a couple clips, not like intentionally, but yes.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, he once again, give him a ball, let him go play. He gets
his
out.
arms, I've never seen anything like it. His arms are so long, and at this point, if Mickens and staff bring in a corner, I'm like, all right, I'm good. I mean, you can always tell when you see, like, when a kid's elbow is at his arms bent and the elbow is at his waistband, the kid's got long arms. And you could just tell he's scrappy, Tim. He's going to give you everything he's got. You could just tell it kind of oozes out of that kid. Very excited about him.
Oh yeah, no, I was going to say he's one of those guys. I mean, he could go play Big Ten basketball and he's going to make first team the all defensive team because he's just going to be a freaking pit bull on the point guard all year long in the Big Ten. That's to me that's why I love him at corner because he's just going to play man every snap and he's already got that mental mindset because obviously the elite basketball he plays in high school at his school is top 20ish in the country. But yeah, he's a pit bull, man.
Oh, quick. Dallas Golden's playing offense.
Who cares?
Dallas Golden's playing offense. There's way too many there's too much corner talent. And in the same way that Jeremiah Love is like, holy smokes, we don't get to see a lot of that at Notre Dame in terms of offensive skill and just sheer talent. Tim, when you put the ball in Dallas Golden's hands, it's like, what?
Hey, Singer had his highlights running. He's running a corner route in the back of the end zone, and it's like, seriously, you could go find as we have learned with Freeman and Chad Bowden, they're going to go find a nickel, right? They're going to go find some dude to go play the nickel, be that third corner. Go let Dallas Golden play offense, please. Just let him play offense. Please give him the little boundary, line pass and let him go wiggle. Seriously, use the portal to go find your nickel and your third corner. Let Dallas Golden go play offense.
Dallas Golden's too talented.
We need playmakers on offense.
Pigeon-toed and bow-legged with Dallas Golden. And yeah, I mean, he's not going to want to look at, see how he moves? He moves like an SEC kid. We do not get kids like this often, and he is not going to want to develop at corner.
Look at his legs, Mike. Look at his freaking legs. Get this guy the ball.
The high calf muscle.
Yes.
And when we talk about look at that pigeon toe.
Yeah.
Ooh, wee.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. He's a dude. That's what as soon as I watched this film and when Singer's like, hey, we're gonna do a commit video, he's gonna commit. I said, dude, this guy better be your blue and gold cover guy because he is the best athlete in this class.
Let me pile on, Tim. Let me pile on. Last name Golden. Hey, Notre Dame media, step your shit up. This kid should be a star. This kid should be an absolute star at Notre Dame. I mean,
how can he not play slot? Seriously, put him at freaking slot. All the little circle routes they do with Greathouse all the time. He will catch them, plant, go, because he's got that ability. This is a perfect slot.
The punt return, all of it. Anyway, moving on. I don't know what to make.
Hold on, one last thing. Slot fade. How many times has Denbrock called slot fade?
For a touchdown, I think every one of Riley's touchdowns is a slot fade.
Dude, Dallas Golden, slot fade 3 times a game. Come on. It's
Go ahead.
Easy.
I don't know what to make of Cree Thomas, personally. I don't know what to make of him, but that's okay. Not to say he's a bad player. I got to watch more tape of Logan. And then Ethan Long, I don't know if he's sudden enough. I don't know if he's twitchy enough to play DB. Now, I say this. I worked with Teddy Rizak, who was a former safety turned linebacker. And Teddy's tape is twitchier. Say that 3 times fast. Teddy's tape is twitchier than Ethan Long. And Teddy became, a linebacker rover. We'll see what he grows into. Wouldn't shock me. I've never seen Ethan in person to look at the frame, but he looks like he has a big head and big hands. Like he looks like he could get bigger. Wouldn't shock me if you see Ethan Long moving a rover or something like that. He's just not very twitchy. And Jadon Blair has 3 inches on him, and he's a much more sudden athlete than Ethan Long. So I would not shock me if he ends up playing closer to the ball.
Ethan Long is back in your days, back in the old days, Mike. He's your big safety. Make him into a Sam linebacker. That's the type.
You think so?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I like him on film. I'm totally with you. I don't know if he could play the whole back end and roam and go sideline to sideline, but you could definitely see him gaining some weight and dropping down, playing in the box.
So that's what I think. But it's a great group. It's a great group.
Yeah. All right, let's end on your 5 favorite players in the class. Now, this could be the high ranked guys, lower ranked guys, whatever. Like your 5. This is not the 5 best guys. Like the 5 that you just feel good about. You want to talk about. By the way, the Hook. Thank you for the super chat. So Tim, I'll throw it to you first. Who are your 5? Give us a quick blurb on each, why they're there. We'll all do this as we wrap up the show.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What about the kicker? Thank you, Onyx. Eric Schmidt, number 2 kicker in the country. I don't know. Does he kick the ball through the uprights? Great. He can punt too. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. He's a kicker. Kickers are people too, but I don't know what are we going to judge kickers? That's I don't know. Does anyone want to judge the kicker? Okay. All right.
No. I mean,
Eric Schmidt, love you. Thanks for flipping. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know what to say about you.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I was going to say, they signed Josh Bryant, who was the number 1 kicker in the country. So he's no longer in the program. So who knows? Kickers, I'm with you, Singer. Can you kick a 48-yard field goal, please? That would be nice. Or no, excuse me. How about a 26-yarder against USC? That would be nice. But anyway, my top 5, I went with, 3, the 3 top end guys because I've loved him since day one. Will Black, can't say enough about him. He's just so much damn fun to watch, and he's a teach tape. Dallas Golden, I'm going to bug you until the recruiting issue comes out because he is my cover guy. He's a stud. I really, really hope they give him a legitimate shot to let him play where he wants to play. Madden Ferramo is awesome. Trinity League, man. The fact they got back-to-back guys out of Trinity League, not just got back-to-back guys, arguably the 2 best players in that league 2 years in a row. That is, we haven't mentioned that enough. That is unbelievable. A nice pipeline going down into the Trinity League. Obviously, the J. Sarah D. Lyman they're recruiting for 26. The linebacker at Orange Lutheran is elite times elite, so we'll see what happens there. But that's great to see. They're working down in Orange County, California. And then my 2 favorite 3-stars, I went with the quarterback, Blake Hebert. I've been a fan of his since we did Preston Zinner's film, and I'm like, who the hell is this quarterback? So I've loved watching him for the last 2 years. And just saw, I don't know, something about Brandon Logan. I just like the fact that he's a baseball guy, turned down the major leagues, going to play in farm system the next few years, learn how to hit a curveball. I just like the way he runs. He's just a high energy guy, ball skills. Go back and you'll see a senior. I mean, the dude has so many pick sixes. He's a playmaker. So, really excited to see what he does.
Okay, so Logan, Hebert, Golden,
the big 3.
Black, Ferramo. Okay.
Yeah, the big 3. I've just loved those. I mean, obviously, I've talked about those guys for 18 months, so I had to mention them again.
Goolsby?
I'm going with Tim. I'm going to piggyback off of that. Dallas Golden, probably your favorite player in the class because he's just so different from what we're accustomed to on the offensive side of the ball. And it's not like we've got wide receivers stacked on top of one another that are like uber talented. It's like such a glaring need. It's like, let's not overthink this. Dallas Golden's probably my favorite player. I like Jadon Blair, Ko'okia. I just like something about him. And I think there's just something there with his brother, getting him ramped up. Love the receiver, Scrap Richardson, like Reef. This is probably what I gave you a 6. And I'm telling you, there's something about Nolan James too. And yeah, he's a late entry to the class. Don't overlook him. I think he's going to be special.
Yeah, Riley was on my original 5, and obviously I just love him. He was going to be on my top 5, so that's great choice there.
I think I only have one guy on mine that you two didn't mention, but here's why I'm gonna be able to take Will Black. This is a message board post dated February 22nd. I said the 2 recruits I'm buying the most stock on, aka Joe Alt. I always have my Joe Alt at the class. Remember your old boy was saying, "Hey, this 3-star from Minnesota from the Pizza Roll High School. I'm telling you guys, it's gonna be really good."
Tino, baby.
Will Black or Ivan Taylor? Now, Ivan Taylor committed to Notre Dame and then went to Michigan and then Bama, or not went to, committed, so he signed with Bama, so he doesn't count. But Will Black, this was when he was like a 4-star. He was not any ranked high. So I'm gonna say Will Black. And then I also have Dallas Golden, very original. Jadon Blair, love Jadon Blair.
Yes.
I really do think that he's got something to him as a safety. I think he could play early. I'm a huge Nolan James guy as well.
No, I was going to say, in Blair, we have, I mean, he's up in the upper echelon of his class. We haven't spent enough time about him. That was another massive recruiting win.
Huge.
To pull him away from those schools that were all over him.
Yeah, absolutely. And then my 5th is the one you guys, I don't think you guys have mentioned, Elijah Burris. He's playing as a freshman. Book it. Clip it. Ship it. Bookmark it. Tweet me next year.
So what is
Mike? You were right or wrong. Elijah Burris is going to burn his red shirt. He's going to play. There you go. He's going to be in the rotation. Maybe kind of like not every week, but he's going to be like Elijah Burris, true freshman, playing. Book it.
I don't think that's.
So he's going to hold on. So he's going to be mentioned more than Micah Gilbert during spring and the summer.
I said what I said. Book it.
I love it. Well, I can't wait to hear all about it.
All right, closing thoughts.
Talk yo ish, Bo 2.0.
Hey, let's just make a rule. Goolsby, right? I mean, come on. We know
I'm going to be right one of these days about the receivers.
Whatever young freshman is mentioned, we know he's redshirt. Is that the rule moving forward?
Oh, that's
during
true.
Spring ball, we start hearing about guys in spring ball. We know they're redshirting.
Well, they got to learn how to block, Tim.
No, they don't. Get them the damn ball and run.
Folks, if you have not done so yet, please hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the channel for more content. We are going to end it there. Tim and Mike, appreciate you guys for hanging out so much with us tonight, and everyone in the chat as well. For folks listening via podcast, please leave us a 5-star review, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, all that stuff. BlueandGold.com. If you need more Notre Dame coverage, it's a place to be. Goolsby's Patreon, send his link in his Twitter bio at MikeGoolsby41. Appreciate you all again for watching or listening, and we'll catch you next time.